I am a person who is driven by routine. I have a black cup of coffee every morning, first thing, before I do anything else. That's how I know to start my day. Everything begins after that first black cup of coffee. I have a schedule that I follow just about every day. And each day is carefully controlled by the events that are on my calendar or to-do list for that specific day. I mark them off as I go. And that's how I know where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing. I confess that I am so organized, I like routine so very much that some of you may have noticed this. I eat in a particular order. I will eat one thing on my plate at a time until that thing's gone, before I will move on to the next. See, I shouldn't be telling you these things. I learned my lesson with fruitcakes, and yet here I go. But that's just how I do things. I like routine. I like organization. And that's why I like Joseph. I bet that Joseph was a man of routine. I bet that Joseph was exceptionally organized in how he carried out his life. See, Joseph was a carpenter. He built things. And to build something, well, I'm not very good at it. I know it physically requires a process. You have a plan. You have to have the right equipment, certain tools. When you sit down to do your work, the lumber and materials that you have, you measure them. You precisely cut them. I think it's measured twice, cut once is how it goes. At least that's how it's supposed to go. And then you have the materials you need to actually construct whatever it is you're building. And that has a plan too. You have to follow things in a particular order. I can't put up a door until I have a frame or a wall in which the door can go, or it won't stay secure. There's a process. It's organized. So I think that Joseph as a person was very organized and that he thought he had his life pretty well all put together. The Gospel tells us this morning that Joseph also happened to be a man in a terribly awkward situation. Here he was, engaged to be married. And he finds out that his wife-to-be is already with child. I can imagine that had to be a very uneasy time for him. What to do? Matthew tells us that Joseph thought long and hard, searching his soul to answer that question. What was he to do with the circumstances in which he found himself? See, the woman he was about to marry was pregnant. People would talk. The gossip and the ridicule that he would encounter for seeing that marriage through could possibly be unbearable. So he made up his mind after much thought. And he decided to do the honorable thing. He came up with a plan. He would divorce her quietly and move on with his carefully organized life. He would remove himself from any possibility of an uncomfortable consequence that he could have imagined would occur and leave Mary alone to deal with the childbirth. Joseph made up his mind. But that simple and honorable plan was disrupted by God. As Joseph slept, an angel came to him in a dream. The angel told him not to fear, for he was about to experience great joy. All he had to do was to trust in God and to follow the instructions set out for him carefully. He was to see that marriage through. He would be an earthly father to the child born, raise him up, and care for the family with whom God had blessed him. In so doing, Joseph would help God's larger plan to be realized. See, that child would be the Savior of all the world. The promised Messiah who would save all the people from their sins. All Joseph had to do was listen and trust and follow the plan. Joseph was told to name the child Jesus, which in Hebrew is Yahshua, meaning God saves. And the people of the day, well, they had some idea of what to expect when the Messiah did finally show up. That Messiah, according to them, would be a Savior. He would be a great king, raised up from the house of David to save all of Israel in their darkest hour from the oppression and the tyranny that they had come to know in that time and place. He would again make Israel a great nation, a beacon of light, shining forth for all the world to see. That's the Messiah that they expected. That was their plan. But God sort of disrupted that too, didn't he? For Joseph, he rose to the task to which he was called. He faithfully and obediently served God. And by humbly accepting that call of service, Joseph helped God's ultimate promise to reach fulfillment. Joseph embraced the joy. Yet, when God gave the people that shining light in Jesus Christ, offering them that joy, they were confounded and they did not believe. God gave them hope and peace in Jesus Christ, the one who came to fulfill the promised salvation of all, who we know gave himself up so the world might be freed forever from the bonds of sin and of death, that the world would shine brightly again, radiating God's love from one person to another, so that all would experience and be filled with joy. In the gift of Christ, the world was given wholeness again, the opportunity to be perfect in God's image. But they didn't see the joy. The people missed the point. So hung up were they on their preconceived notions of the Messiah that they weren't ready to see. And the joy that they were offered